welcome to VOSR International, the Voice of Shortwave Radio. I'm your host, Wavecrest Guy. This broadcast is being transmitted by WRMI, Radio Miami International, in Okeechobee, Florida, on both 9455 and 15770 kilohertz. This broadcast is also transmitted by Shortwave Radio in Lower Saxony, Germany, on 3975 kilohertz. So I want to start out this broadcast with a special announcement. We're really excited about this here at VOSR International. I want to announce that we are going to also be broadcasting now on Thursdays at 1900 UTC on 3975 kilohertz. It's going to be transmitted by Shortwave Radio in Lower Saxony, Germany. And we are really excited to be able to have this extra broadcast going out through Europe. I wanted to try a different time slot, and this 1900 UTC seemed like a perfect fit. And I'm going to try during the weekday here, going to be on a Thursday instead of my regular Saturdays. So hopefully you can pass the word, and everyone can check us out on Thursdays at 1900 UTC on 3975 kilohertz. And now we'll move on to our regular announcements. First, I want to remind everyone that we are still having our radio giveaway. We are giving away an XH Data D328 shortwave radio. And I wanted to mention that while we've gotten quite a few reception reports and many emails, we don't have many people entries for this shortwave radio giveaway. So everybody send in your emails to VOSRINT@yahoo.com. That's VOSRINT@yahoo.com. In the subject of the message, type in radio giveaway, and then send it off to us. You don't have to worry about giving us any more information. If you are the winner, I will answer that email, and then I will ask you for your mailing address. And the entries are limited to one per listener, one email per listener, and the date I need the email by is November 21st. So November 21st is the last day that emails will be accepted. So get those emails sent in to VOSR International, and if you can also go over to our website and at VOSRinternational.com, and there is a mail icon there. You can click that and send us an email that way. Also, then I want to remind everyone about our website, VOSRinternational.com. You can go over there. There's a lot of information. I usually put up updated pages for segments from our show. We also have our listener map there. So if you send in a reception report, I will go ahead and put a pin at your location on our VOSR listeners map. And then I take pictures of each section of the map, and they'll be posted on there so you can take a look and see all our listeners and all the locations. And then we also have a listeners radios page. If you send in a email of your radios, or you at your radios, or your Radio Shack, I will get those posted on our website, and you can see all the radios that everyone is listening with. There's really a lot of nice older nostalgic radios out there that people are still using. It's always nice to see everyone's equipment. So go ahead and get those sent in. Just send them into VOSRINT@yahoo.com. That's VOSRINT@yahoo.com, and I'll get those pictures posted. Also on our website, you can catch up with us with past broadcasts. I list all the past broadcasts on there. VOSR International started on February 28th of 2025, and I have all the past broadcasts listed there. You can also go over to my YouTube channel, Wavecrest Guy. I have a playlist with all the past broadcasts there also. So there's a couple ways that you can catch up and listen to our past shows. And you can also check us out on Reddit. We have a Reddit group, Grundig Shortwave Radio, and you don't have to worry, you don't have to have a Grundig. All radios are welcome. But I do post updates about the show. There's a lot of people that post their reception reports and receptions of different DXing that they're picking up. We ask questions about shortwave radio and about equipment. So go ahead and go and join our group over there on Reddit. Go to Grundig Shortwave Radio. And lastly, just a reminder that I am sending out our second version of our postcard QSL cards. So if you email us here at VOSRINT@yahoo.com, in the subject line, put in postcard QSL, and then in the the body of your message, you can go ahead and give your mailing address. I will get those mailed out to you. Again, that's VOSRINT@yahoo.com, or you can go over to our website and click the mail icon. These may take a little while to get after I mail them out. For those of you that are new, I live on the small island of Molokai in Hawaii. So we've had some that took quite a long time to get. The longest one was about 2 months that went out to Russia. But then we've had most take close to a week. I think we've only had 1 or 2 take a little bit less than a week. So they will take a little bit longer to get. And then please, if you do get one, send me an email just confirming that you got it. So then that gives me an idea of, I can tell people how long they might take to get. And now, on with the show. All right, we'll move over to the equipment segment. And this one is going to be part 3 of the K180 WLA antenna series now, I guess. And this is going to be my final thoughts. So I've had the antenna for a while now and up and running. And so it has turned to my number 1 antenna. It has surpassed the MLA 30 Plus. For out here, it definitely works better. There's the lower noise floor is really big. There's a lot less noise, which makes the stations come in much more clear, even though it doesn't show up that way for the S units on the S meter. That's one of the things. For the MLA 30 Plus, I usually had to get about, if I had an S7, then over the speaker, I'd be able to listen that way, unplug my headphones, walk around, and still listen to the whatever is being broadcast, and it comes in pretty well. So S7 was my minimum for that. With this K180 WLA, that's gone down. If I get an S6 and even an S5.5, it is good enough because the noise is so much lower that I can, unplug the headphones and just go ahead and listen normally like you listen to a radio. So, but for those faint signals coming in, and that's one of the things that I like about the hobby is turning the dial and trying to bring in these faint signals that I haven't picked up before. So I was wondering how I was going to handle that. Because there was much less noise, I didn't know if it was covering up some or what was going on. But the noise on the MLA 30 Plus was what covers it up, and I couldn't hear anything. But if I get on the MLA 30 Plus, I would pick up stuff barely audible. I could add an S3 with this K180 WLA. I'm picking up stuff, between 1 and 2. I can faintly hear stuff. And I always hear better in my headphones, so I always pick up stations and signals better with the headphones on. So where I could, listen on the K180 WLA, where I can listen to it just unplugged and, let my radio speaker and listen to it. Like I said, between F5 and F6. With this, when it's lower and when it's coming in a little bit less, I can go to S3 probably and still make it out in the headphones. And a lot of times, making it out in the headphones, I can definitely sit there and listen to it. But that definitely wasn't the case with the MLA 30 Plus. If I had an S3, because the noise floor was right up against that, I wouldn't be able to make it out. I could definitely hear there's a signal that someone's talking or there's music playing, but I wouldn't be able to make it out. So with this K180WLA, that is possible. Is the difference huge? It's big enough to me. It's definitely big enough to make the switch. And there's a few things that it's got going for it. And they might not be benefits for everyone, because I live in a condo. Portability, it means a lot to me, because I can only set up my antennas on the lanai, but I have to take them down. I can't have anything permanent out there. This is definitely smaller. It's only 22 inches in diameter. It's pretty small. It's mounted on that on the PVC tube that they give you, and I just if you went over to VOSRinternational.com and saw the pictures, I only mounted it on a broom so I can get this broadcast out and do some testing with it. I'm going to be putting it on another piece of PVC, so it'll be easier to take up and down. And that's how I have my MLA 30 Plus mounted on a separate piece of PVC. So having that, it's just a lot easier to take up and down. It's smaller. I don't have to worry about it hitting on anything. If somebody's going to try to use this inside and put it up against the window, that smaller diameter is going to make a difference to you. So it's definitely worth thinking about. One of the negatives is definitely that FM switch being on, at the antenna, and in that box, it's watertight. It's not convenient at all to switch it. So you have to think long and hard if you're getting this antenna. If you're going to be using it as FM all the time, that's going to be fine, because you're not going to be using the switch. If you are going to switch back and forth between, or if you're going to use, like me, if you're going to mostly use shortwave, it's going to be okay. So it's really not a huge negative to me, but it's definitely going to be a negative to a lot of people out there who want to be able to use this antenna as FM. So, the only other thing you can do, if you have a portable setup like me, you can keep two of the screws out, because there's one in each corner, and keep one up and keep one just barely in, and then when you want to make the switch, you just pull the one out, and then you can swing the top like a gate, and then make the switch, and then bring it back over. You're definitely not going to want to do that in the rain. You still could snap the cover down, and it's probably going to be all right, but then you still have those holes from where the screws are, where some water is going to enter. So anytime in bad weather, you're not going to be wanting to do it. I suppose it'll be the same if there's any condensation, which here I live in Hawaii, I don't have that problem either. And I'm taking it down. So while the FM did work fine, it definitely it's going to make you think about if that's going to be a feature for you for this antenna. The other thing you're going to have to take into consideration is the price. This K180WLA is about twice the price of the MLA 30 Plus. And I had to buy a battery, which was another $12 where I'm located at. They're probably similar in your location for price wise, anyways. But is it worth it? It depends on your budget, I guess. Yes, I would definitely go ahead and spend the extra money on the K180 WLA. But if you got a tight budget and you just want to get started, you go ahead and buy that MLA 30 Plus. It's a darn good antenna. It is a little bit bigger. You do have to get a power source for that one. That one does not run on a battery. So this rechargeable battery on the K180 is definitely a feature. And so far it's lasted, it's lasted probably 6 hours before it has to be recharged. Now where I'm at, what I've been doing is and it might not be as good for the battery, but I'll use it for a couple days, and then I will go ahead and plug the charger in, so I'm ready and all ready to go. I may end up ordering another battery sometime, so I have another one on hand. But those batteries do last for quite a few charges, and it's usually not an issue. So those are the main things on this, and so I would definitely recommend the K180 WLA antenna. Again, look around, look on eBay, look on Amazon. Go with a trusted buyer. If you want to spend a little bit more and you trust Amazon a little bit more, that's fine to go there. I believe they're on Temu also, or maybe AliExpress. So check those out also. But eBay is where I ended up getting mine. And again, it was $53 is what I paid. Then another $12 for the battery. So then you're up to $65. Again, I got my MLA 30 Plus pretty cheap. I think I got it for $25, so it's a little more than double. So that will make you think twice. And depending on your area and depend on how the conditions are, whether it's going to be worth it or not. So you can always do what I did. Start out with that MLA 30 Plus. You're going to get a lot of listening out of that. It does help. I like it. Now I can't compare it really all that much to a long wire, which of course would be the cheapest, and you could make those yourself. They would be the easiest if you have a place to do it. Unfortunately, here in the condo, I just can't use a long wire. I tried out a short one. It was only a 25-footer. Did not work out well. Would it be better if I got a 50 or 100? Probably, but I would not be able to set it up. And then setting it up and taking that down all the time would be a real negative. So final thoughts on the K180 WLA antenna. Yes, to me it's a buy. It definitely works well. There are a couple more out there. There is a K480 WLA, which I'm taking a look at. I got one in my cart, and I'll definitely do a segment on those if I do that. That's probably going to be a while because this one is working really well. I have been able to pick up some stations that I've only picked up once with the MLA 30 Plus. And I picked them up better. I actually, before on those stations, I was only able to, barely make them out. I was actually able to listen to those stations a little bit. So it definitely has been working much better. And it is, besides not having the battery, it's a complete kit. It's ready to go. You'll probably have to have a mast. If you use it indoors, you probably won't have to mount it on anything. You can just use the PVC that's included. But if you are going to have it outside on a lanai or mount it full-time and permanent, you're going to need another mast, which usually isn't a big deal. You can use something either laying around or just grab a piece of PVC. All right, so that's the end of this one. Let me know if anybody has a K180 WLA, what you think about it. Can you compare it to if you've had a MLA 30 Plus? Let me know. Again, you can go to our website at VOSRinternational.com. And check out, I got links there, and I got pictures of the setup, so you can check it out. And you can also click the mail button there to send us some questions or if you've got one and how yours works. You can also just send us an email at VOSRINT@yahoo.com. That's VOSRINT@yahoo.com. And now on to the mailbag. First we have Chuck from Massillon, Ohio, and he reports that he was glad to catch our broadcast on 15770 kilohertz, and the signal was S9 at the start of the show, but as time went on, it started to fade. He appreciated the story on how I started the broadcast. He said it was very interesting on how the mountain range here in Hawaii affected radio reception. He was listening on his Yaesu FT1000MP with a Mosley T834 antenna that is 38 feet in the air. He's looking forward to future broadcasts. Thank you for the kind words, Chuck. Next, we have Sherznev from Kabardino, Russia, and he reports listening on 15770 kilohertz on an RSP1 SDR with an LZ1AO active loop antenna. He reported an SINPO of 45344. He says he picked up a copy of the WRTH handbook, and it has been a constant companion ever since. Thank you for the email, Shersniv. Next, we have regular listener Rick from Lower Michigan, and he reports a signal that was decent on the 9455 kilohertz. He was listening on his new to him Texan PL660. He likes the older radios, and I'm the same way. I don't like the SDR so much. I do like having the older radios. He reports he'll be adding a outdoor long wire next week. Next, we have Bill from Boise, Idaho. He reports his reception was excellent on his NRD 545. He also sent in some photos of the radio, and I did add those onto our website. And you can check them out over at VOSRinternational.com. There's a page there for listener radios. Next, we have Jerry from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and he was listening on 9455 kilohertz. The signal was so strong that he only used his whip antenna on his XH Data 808, and on his ICOM IC7200 with an outdoor 80-meter loop antenna, reception was plus 20 over S9. Thank you, Jerry. Next, we have Kenneth from Rockingham, Vermont. He reports a very strong signal on his Helicrafters S53A. He sent in a picture of that, and I did get that up on our website also. So there are a few new pictures on there of listener radio, so go over there and take a check. He also reports of a person who restores Helicrafters radios, and I'm going to be doing a short segment about that in the future, in a future broadcast. Then we have Gary from Seattle, Washington. He says he always picks up 9455 kilohertz really well, and he really liked our segment on the Grundig Satellite 800. He has one of those, and he sent in a picture, and of course I added that onto the website also. So again, quite a few new pictures on there. Next, we have regular listener John from Concho, Arizona. He reports a strong signal and an SINPO of 55555 on his Texan PL880 on an ML830 active loop antenna. And lastly, we have Adrian from Malta, and he reported an SINPO of 55454 on 15770 kilohertz on his Dengen D1103 with a 15-meter log wire. This is the first time in a few weeks he was able to pick up the broadcast on 15770 kilohertz. It's been really rough propagation just when the broadcast is going on, and I'm glad he was able to pick up the show. And remember, if you can't pick up the show, you can always head over to our website at VOSRinternational.com. I've got a page over there that has links to our past broadcasts, so you can catch up on all of them if you miss a broadcast or a rebroadcast. And then we do have a few shows that only had one broadcast, so there wasn't even a rebroadcast. So you can go over to the website and check that out. You can also go over to YouTube on Wavecrest Guy. I have a playlist there of all the past broadcasts for the show. So keep those emails coming in and reception reports and comments about the program. Send them in to VOSRINT@yahoo.com. That's VOSRINT@yahoo.com. Or you can head over to our website at VOSRinternational.com, and there's a mail link there. You can click on that and contact us that way. It's great to get all these emails and get reception reports. It's the only way I can tell if anybody's listening, and it's really good to get some comments, and so we can bring different things to the show and different segments to broadcast. So get those comments and emails sent in, and we'll get them right over the air. On to the next segment. And this one is going to be part 2 of the Grundig Satellite 800 Millennium Radio. And I'm going to start out just going over a little bit of history of the radio. and then we'll move into some of the features. So the Grundig Satellite 800 Millennium is a shortwave radio launched around the year of 2000, and it was developed through a collaboration between American companies Lextronics and R.L. Drake, and it was built in China. So it is the result of Grundig USA's licensing and the Grundig name after Grundig's original production ended. With the technical design being closely related to R.L. Drake, the SW8 model. Drake was the main factor in the design of this radio. The radio was a large, high-performance tabletop receiver styled after the earlier Grundig Satellite 650, but is technically has a new design from the ground up. And the Grundig Satellite 650 is another one of those iconic radios. I'd really love to get a hold of one of those, but those are really, really nice radios also. So after Grundig's own manufacturing ceased, the company's trademark was used by Grundig USA for a line of receivers. The Satellite 800 was designed in collaboration with R.L. Drake and was technically very similar to the SW8, like I said. And then the radio was highly anticipated before its release in 2000. It was considered a high-performance tabletop receiver, though some users noted its audio quality, while good for its time, lacked the powerful bass of the earlier Grundig models, the 600 and the 650. For its legacy, the Satellite 800 is often compared to its successor, the Eaton E1, and remains a popular and reliable shortwave receiver for many. Is also noted as being a professional-grade tabletop unit as opposed to a more portable units in the satellite line. And again, I had mentioned this before, that I think that is one of the best features for myself using the Grundig Satellite 800 is the size. It just makes it so much easier to operate. There's not a ton of buttons and gadgets on it, and the buttons on there, most of them are not multifunction, so they are very easy to use, and you don't have to rely a lot on memory. Everything is right there, and there's no fumbling around with small buttons and having to remember multiple presses and things like that to make things operate. So just a little bit about the radio itself. Again, we were talking about its size. Here's the size in centimeters, and then I'll give it in inches. It is 50.6 centimeters wide, 23.5 centimeters high, and with a handle retracted. And then it is 22.6 centimeters wide. In inches, that comes out to 21 by 9.25 inches by 8.5 inches. The weight is 6.6 kilograms. That's 14.5 pounds with a power supply and no batteries. It does hold 6D batteries. So again, very large radio, very heavy radio. So you keep that in mind if you're thinking about getting one of these. So the Satellite 800 was a radio long in the making, and there was a history of that with a few other models also. It took a long time to come to fruition. And, in the combined effort between Lexitron and Drake, the design it has a convoluted history, I guess you'd say. And then it is a follow-up from the Satellite 650 and 700, which the 700, of course, was much smaller. There was aborted. They were gonna make a Satellite 900, but they quit doing that, and they concentrated on the 800. So when the radio finally came out in July of 2000, there was actually quite a few issues with it. There was issues with the synthesizer noise, digital noise, and primarily from the LED. The unfiltered power supply had to be dealt with. That's still an issue to this day, is to get a good power supply for that. I will have a link on our website at VOSRinternational.com to a power supply that definitely works. I'm using it myself. And we'll have that over on the website if you're in the need for one. Otherwise, you can buy a whole bunch of different kinds, and then some might work and some might not. So they had some quality control issues, being this was built in China, and it varied quite a bit. One of the main things was the knobs wobbled, and especially the tuning knob. That was one of the bigger issues with this unit. Many were returned and then they were fixed. Mine does not have that issue, but from what I hear, when you're tuning, you'll get a lot of movement in the tuning knob and not change any of the frequency. And then when you not even touching the knob, the frequency will move up or down. So again, definitely a big flaw there. So as these were sent back and more were made, these problems were addressed and they were corrected. And if you get a later model, radio is usually the best. You don't have to worry about having those issues, although they can be worked on and corrected. So it's one of those where you definitely want to buy one of these on condition and see how they're operating. You want to be there and look. It's pretty hard to order these online, and if you do, just make sure that they have a return policy. But you will, of course, be paying for the return shipping if you do have issues. Now we'll go through the radio's controls. Starting on the bottom left is the power supply, power turn on, and a large square button. Can't miss it, right on the bottom left. There are two protective handles on each side of the radio, just in case it tips over. It'll protect the face of the radio and the controls. Right next to that is to the power is the headphone jack. Very accessible in and out. Use that all the time because a lot of times I use the same headphones when I'm listening to shortwave that I do when I am recording for the radio broadcast. So I'm using that quite often, switching between the microphone unit and the radio with the headphones. Next to that is the volume control. For the most part, I usually don't go over 3, so it does have quite a bit of volume. The next is bass, and then followed by treble, and we're traveling left to right here, right across the bottom of the radio. Usually, pretty much like most stereos, I usually have this set and don't use that much after that. And then right next to that is the air squelch that you could use if you are listening to the air bands, and when they're not communicating, there's quite a bit of screechy noise coming through, quite a bit more than you would get like if you're listening to shortwave radio. So that is a helpful feature. Now continuing left along the bottom of the radio, there is a push button for the attenuator, and then right next to that there's another push button for the automatic gain control. And then next there's a push button. This is one of the few that are multifunction, and it's actually not really, because it's switching between different filters. So it is the bandwidth control, I mean. So the bandwidth goes from 2.3 kilohertz to 4 kilohertz to 6 kilohertz. So each press of that button will move it through the bandwidth. And next to that, there is another push button that is the switch between AM and the sync. So basically, and I use this feature all the time, I always have it in AM when I'm turning the dial, when I'm tuning in, and then when I do find a broadcast that I want to listen to, a frequency, I will go ahead and I will hit that button and turn the sync on. And what that does is it'll concentrate on the signal that's there, and it'll eliminate any bleed over, that type of thing. So it really locks it in, and the signal comes in much better. Now, and this button can take a little bit to actually to work. It goes through, you must go through a pace where it locks it in, and it sometimes it does it really quickly within a few seconds. And then there's sometimes where it might take about 5 or 6 seconds, and you'll hear a noise as it starts up a little bit higher and then slowly comes down and locks in. So if you get that, it's kind of a strange noise at times, let that play through, and it's working down, and it will lock in and eventually sync. But again, very good feature. I use it most of the time. A lot of people, if they don't have that sync, what they'll end up doing is they'll switch over to sideband and try the upper and lower sideband to be able to hear the station better. And I did try that on this radio, but the sync that definitely does outperform that, and I use the sync all the time, especially if I'm listening to a station, just one station. I always turn on that sync and lock it in. The next button next to that is sideband, upper and lower sideband. So when I'm in AM, I hit the sideband button, and then it'll go. I can switch between upper and lower sideband. The last button, all the way on the right, is the band selector. So you can hit that to choose between air, FM, shortwave, and AM. So again, like I said, with these controls, going left or right along the bottom, it goes all the way across the radio. There really aren't any multi-function buttons. I'm either turning something on and off, like the attenuator, the automatic gain control, the bandwidth. While you can hit it multiple times, you're just switching between the bandwidths. So, and the same thing, you're switching between AM and sync. So you're turning something on and turning something off. And then lastly is the band when you're switching between air, FM, shortwave, and AM. You're hitting that and you're watching it. Of course, it'll show up on the screen, and you can see it there. But so not a lot of multifunction buttons where you're hitting something and have to hit it 2 or 3 times to get something mostly totally different, like switching between the clock and that type of thing. Okay, now going to the left of the radio, so above the volume and the bass is the speaker. Very large, nice speaker on this with a nice gray grill. And the sound on this is the best I have on my radios. It has some really good sound, plays really good music. I really like it. I myself am fine with the bass and the treble controls. I'm not an audiophile or anything like that, but I believe I get really good sound from this radio. In the center of the radio, then we have a set of push buttons. We have first off, one column of 3 buttons that are set buttons. So there's a clock button, below that there's a timer button, and then below that there's a lamp button. So you can, let's just start with the lamp on the bottom. You turn that on, and then of course the screen is lit up along with the signal strength meter. So you can turn that on and off. I haven't had any problems with mine. I do use mine most of the time because I am listening at night. I don't do very well getting many things here on shortwave during the day. And then, of course, I'd be able to see the screen anyway. The middle button, the one above the lamp, is the timer button, and you can use that to set the timer to shut the radio on. I believe you can turn it on also. And I haven't used the timer at all. It's one function that I never really use. When I'm done, I usually just shut it off. And then the next, the one on top, the top button is the clock button. I do use that. I don't have to use it as much as I did when I lived in on the mainland U.S. Because here in Hawaii we do not change our time for daylight savings time. So we stay at Hawaii time all year round. So I usually only have to use that when I am setting the time, either lost power or something like that. Actually, I have it on a universal power supply right now, so it doesn't. I don't even lose power. But this radio will, on the clock, it does fall behind as time goes on. So I would say maybe once a quarter, once every four months, I have to adjust the time by a few minutes, probably 2 or 3 minutes. So now right next to that, right, so pretty much right in the center of the radio is the direct keypad input, and it is a regular buttons labeled 1 through 0, so going 1, 2, 3 across, and then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 0, and then there is on the bottom center there is a dot or period, and then next to that is the clear or the lock button. So you can, when you're listening to the radio, you can go ahead and you can key in any frequency directly, and then if you hit the period button twice, it'll switch right over to the station. Very nice feature. I use that quite a bit when I'm switching through some different frequencies that I know. And I use there's also a memory, and that'll be coming up. I use that because I have quite a bit stations stored in the memory. I do have to keep a log because there's so many. That most of the time when I'm switching between a couple stations, I just go ahead and key in the frequency. Okay, so next to the number pad is another set of 2 rows of 4 buttons, and starts out with a red. The only colored other buttons are white on this. This one is a red button, and that's because if you key in a frequency, or you're listening and you want to store that in the memory, you go ahead and hit that store button, and then you can put down where you want that to be stored at, and the radio will do that. So that is the store button. Below that is the beep button, so you can all the keys that you're pushing in, the numeral pad and the clock, they will beep. But if you click that button, that beep button, it will take it out. I'll remove the beep, so they'll be silent. Under that is the skip button. So if you're going using that feature, if you're going through your memory, that type of thing, you can hit that skip button and it won't land on the one station. Then there's the delete button, so you can delete what you have keyed in. You can also use it to delete a frequency that you have stored. Then the last row, there's it's a memo button, MEMO, and it's memory. So when you hit that button, then you hit it's 2 digits of your station, your frequency that you have stored, and it'll bring it up. And this goes all the way up to 59, I believe, or 60. So it holds quite a few stations, and there's no way I'm going to remember all those. There are a few that I have on here, of course, that I use quite a bit, a handful, and I'm able to remember those. I do have a lot of them on memory, though, but I'll just pull out my book when I know for sure. A good example of that is Radio New Zealand. There's so many frequencies on Radio New Zealand that I have those grouped together, so I can go through the frequencies on for Radio New Zealand when I want to listen. So that does help out quite a bit. So the next button is a VFO, the Variable Frequency Oscillator. I don't use that button that much, but it allows you to really adjust the frequencies to get them tuned in. Then the next button below that is the SW band, so shortwave band. So you can hit that button and then key in the band like 40. You hit the button, hit 40, and it'll go to 40 meter band. So that's really nice if you just want to concentrate on one band or switch between the bands when you're trying to do some DXing. I use that button quite a bit. And then the next one is the scan feature. And now that scan feature is only good for your memory, for your frequencies that you have stored. So when you hit that scan, it will go through those frequencies that you have stored. Now that one I don't use very much on my other portable radios, and a lot of them that I've done reviews on too. When you hit the scan feature, it's either going to scan a whole band or it's going to scan all the bands, and then it'll stop or put in memory a frequency that it picked up, and then it'll either move on or you'll have to hit a button to continue to move on. They all work a little bit different. This one does not do that. It does it only for the frequencies you have stored in your memory. So again, I'm not using that much. I usually know, times I'm listening. I know what I want to listen to. I want to check things out. Otherwise, of course, I'm just DXing where I'm tuning knob. Then to the right of those buttons, there's an up and down arrow where you can, instead of using the turning knob, you can hit that, and it'll change the frequencies up or down. And again, I don't use that much, those two buttons. And then right next to that is the large tuning knob that you turn. It does have a indent on there for your finger, and I'm using that most of the time. And I'm usually even using it when I'm, even on a station that I'm getting, or that frequency that I know. I will be fine-tuning that a little bit because it'll depend on propagation, and it might vary ever so slightly. Next, after that, is the top center. Actually, is the signal strength meter, and that I do use just to have a rough guide of what I am, how the signal is coming in. Usually, I can hear a station good enough in my headphones. If I get S2 or S3, I can usually pick it out, and it usually becomes an identifiable station. And then if I'm going to be listening to something, as long as I get around an S6, is usually a strong enough signal for me to be able to sit and listen to that broadcast. So anything above that, of course, is just that much better. And of course, they range. That's going to happen. Me being out here in the middle of the Pacific is definitely different. There's times when I get China radio will come booming in here at an S30. Then I'll also get some that are way in interior mainland China, and I'm only getting them in an S2 or an S3 and in a different language. So things do vary quite a bit. Radio New Zealand International is very similar, where I will get a couple of those frequencies really good, usually later in the evening. Once you get to around 7 o'clock Hawaii time is when I can really start getting that in really good, like you would in your car radio. Okay, so that is the main functions on the front of the radio. I'm going to end this one here. We're getting a little bit long for a segment, so I'm going to end this one here, and then I will go into part 3, where I will talk about all the features on the back of the radio with the antennas and everything that you can hook up. And that type of thing, and then we'll move on to the actual my thoughts on the radio itself. All right, so let me know what you think. Let me know if you have a Grundig Satellite 800 Millennium. Send emails into VOSRINT@yahoo.com. That's VOSRINT@yahoo.com, or head over to our website at VOSRinternational.com, and you can click on the mail link and contact us that way. And now another segment of On This Day in Shortwave Radio History. November 1st, 1942, the U.S. government takes over shortwave stations. In a move to consolidate international broadcasting efforts during World War II, the U.S. government leased all 14 privately owned shortwave stations. These stations, including those previously operated by NBC and CBS, were then used by the Office of War Information, OWI, for broadcasts by the newly created Voice of America. November 1st, 1939, regulations and call signs changed in the U.S. The FCC ended its experimental licensing phase for U.S. international shortwave stations. The former experimental ham-style call signs were replaced with conventional four-letter broadcast call signs. This regulatory change also relaxed restrictions on advertising, which had previously been limited to domestic programs relayed on shortwave. November 1st, 1937, improvements to WWV. In November 1937, the U.S. government's radio station, WWV, had increased broadcasting and power, also began broadcasting time interval signals. This was significant development for WWV, which was originally used to broadcast standard frequency. November 1st, 1989, shortwave during political transition. The November 1989 issue of Shortwave magazine reviewed a new Philips World receiver, reflecting continued interest in the medium during a period of geopolitical change. Earlier that year, events like the Tiananmen Square massacre saw Radio Beijing shortwave reporters bravely broadcasting news against their government's official line. November 2nd, 1920, the first commercial broadcast by KDKA in Pittsburgh. While this was a medium-wave broadcast, the event was a pivotal moment for the radio industry, which soon began to use shortwave technology for long-distance broadcasts. On November 2nd, Westinghouse Electric and Manufacturing Company station KDKA in Pittsburgh made its first scheduled broadcast. Using a 100-watt medium wave transmitter, it delivered live election results for the presidential race between Warren Harding and James Cox. While only a few dozen people heard the inaugural transmission, the event demonstrated radio's potential and helped launch the modern broadcasting industry. November 2nd, 1936, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, CBC, was formed. Its creation was partly driven by a desire to counter the influence of powerful U.S. radio signals, a dynamic that would later involve shortwave broadcasting. The same day, the BBC television service, the world's first high-definition service, began transmissions. The BBC had already established a powerful presence in international shortwave broadcasting. November 3rd, 2001, listeners to the Russian shortwave station UVB-76 heard a human voice for the first time in at least a decade. Previously, the station had only been heard broadcasting a repetitive, buzzing tone since the early 1990s. While the station's purpose has never been confirmed, its broadcasts consist of short, monotonous buzz, hence the nickname the buzzer, which occasionally gives way to a cryptic voice message in Russian. November 4th, 1966, one of the oldest publicly available recordings of a number station, a coded broadcast used by espionage services, was made on November 4th, 1966. The significance: the recording is an important historical artifact illustrating a period when these mysterious, automated, or pre-recorded voice transmissions were spreading. The Spanish-language broadcast is believed to be originated from Cuba, though its source has never been officially identified. November 4th, 1924, Westinghouse's shortwave facility broadcast Calvin Coolidge's final campaign speech and subsequent election victory in November of 1924. This marked a new era for shortwave in politics, bringing the election to a global audience. November 5th, 1921, RCA transmits transatlantic messages. RCA began sending transatlantic radio messages over longwave from its Radio Central facility in New York. The facility started experimenting with shortwave in 1923 and was regularly using it by 1924. Following its shortwave experiments, RCA abandoned plans for more longwave transmissions. It instead built 6 shortwave transmitters to expand its international broadcast capabilities. November 7th, 1956. During the Cold War, the Voice of America utilized commercial shortwave transmitters, such as WGEO in Schenectady, New York, to broadcast into communist nations. November 7th, 1978, BBC frequency changes in the UK. The BBC changed the frequencies of its radio programs due to increasing congestion on European airwaves. This required a major engineering effort and prompted an on-air campaign to help listeners retune their radios. A BBC archive recording dated November 7th, 1978, features the announcement of the radio wavelength changes, with celebrities explaining the new frequencies to the listeners. November 7th, 1989, Philips shortwave receiver is reviewed. The November 1989 issue of Shortwave magazine featured a review of Philips D2935 World Receiver. The receiver's features were detailed, including its digital display, frequency keyboard, and various controls for single sideband reception. November 7th, 1970, Radio Moscow broadcast October Revolution Parade. Shortwave coverage of the Soviet October Revolution Parade was broadcast by Radio Moscow on November 7, 1970. The parade celebrated the October Revolution and was an annual tradition until 1990. November 8, 1985, President Reagan addresses the Soviet people. The White House announced that President Ronald Reagan would address the Soviet people using shortwave radio on November 9th. The broadcast was scheduled after Radio Moscow rejected Reagan's request to appear on Soviet television. November 9th, 2022, WTWW ceases operations. On November 9th, 2022, the U.S. shortwave station WTWW went off the air. Much of its programming was moved to another broadcaster, WRMI. This event was a reflection of the evolving landscape of private shortwave stations in the United States. Now, since then, they are rebroadcasting now. I am picking them up here in Hawaii. So you can pick up WTWW. It looks like they've been on the air since most of 2025, and they have one transmitter that is at 9930 during the daytime and 5920 at night, and then another one that is 9475 kilohertz during the daytime and 5085 kilohertz at night. So you can still check those out, but they did shut down for a short time, or for a few years. November 11th, 1940, WWV returns to air after a fire. Following a major fire on November 6, 1940, that nearly destroyed the whole station, the U.S. time signal station, WWV, returned to the air on November 11th. It broadcast at a reduced power from its temporary location in Beltsville, Maryland. November 11th, 1982, Radio Tashkent announces Brezhnev's death. On November 11th, 1982, Radio Tashkent announced the death of Soviet leader Leonid Brezhnev during its English-language broadcast. Brezhnev had died the previous day. And that concludes this segment of On This Day in Shortwave Radio History. If you remember any of these or have any comments about the segment, send us an email at VOSRINT@yahoo.com. That's VOSRINT@yahoo.com, or visit our website at VOSRInternational.com and click on the mail icon to get a hold of us that way. And that concludes our broadcast. Be sure to catch our broadcasts every Saturday at 0300 UTC on 9455 kilohertz, and also on Saturdays at 2300 UTC on 15770 kilohertz, transmitted by WRMI Radio Miami International from Okeechobee, Florida. We are also broadcasting on Thursdays at 1900 UTC on 3975 kilohertz, transmitted by Shortwave Radio in Lower Saxony, Germany. Until next time, ahoy ho everyone.